and welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
And in this episode, we're going to find out who would win in a fight between the Flash villain Gorilla Grodd and the X-Men hero Psylocke. Now, why these two characters? Well, this is kind of in lead up to Zack Snyder's Justice League review that we're going to be doing next week. We figured we wanted to get a big DC/Flash/Justice League villain in for this matchup. And the Gorilla Grodd episode is something that we've been wanting to do for a while, and it was chosen by our patrons to put him up against Psylocke. And I like this idea because they're both psychic badasses and physical badasses.
Yeah. I'm really interested in this match. Wouldn't it be amazing if, Gorilla Grodd was in the Justice League film?
You never know.
We would totally be psychic just like him.
And I have to say, this is the first time that Jonathan and I have recorded in the same room with each other since the pandemic started. Jonathan's currently moving out of his house, so he's over here with me in the basement now. And gotta say, it's good to see you back.
Yeah.
But also, I gotta say that if Psylocke loses this match, I'm gonna have to pop you one, because now I can. Just pop you right in the mouth.
We didn't get physical before. Why now? I think it's been proven via our patron duel requests that I would beat you in a fight. We've run the simulations.
That's true. And speaking of Patreon, guys, Jonathan and I are handling the custom duel requests a little bit differently from now on, in that we are putting characters chosen by our patrons into a large tournament.
Yeah, we're calling it Dynamic Duel Bracket Brawl.
For this first month, we asked our patrons for a bunch of magic-based characters, and we got some pretty good matchups for this tournament, including Dr. Fate versus Harry Potter,
Sauron versus Voldemort,
Zatanna versus Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat,
Loki versus Merlin.
Yeah, a lot of great ones.
It's great, yeah.
So if you guys want to take part in that and fill out your own bracket for this tournament, join us on Patreon, and the patron with the most accurate bracket by the end of the month wins a free t-shirt. So yeah, Patreon is the place to be.
It's a lot of fun. If I haven't mentioned it already, we also have a private Discord set up for our patrons. And I gotta say, it's just a ton of fun, chatting with these guys. At any moment, anyone can just, post a message, and we debate, and we just have fun. It's good times.
John Starosky spoils something from WandaVision. It's a blast. It's a blast.
Yeah.
But enough about Patreon. The comic book movie news that we're going to be talking about this week is in regards to the Justice League character trailers and posters that we didn't get to last week, and the announcement that Iris West and Nora Allen have been cast for the upcoming Flash movie.
As always, we list our segment times in our episode description, so feel free to check out the show notes if you want to skip ahead to a particular topic.
And just a quick reminder, guys, to please subscribe to our show if you haven't already. And if you have, please help us grow our podcast audience by leaving a quick rating or review on whatever platform you're listening to us on, or by sharing us with your fellow DC and Marvel fans. Please, guys, please give a shit. Don't just listen. We know it's free and everything, and, it'll always be that way. And we love making the show, but we also want to see the show grow. And only you guys could help us out with that by engaging with us through reviews, through ratings, and your support, and the like.
Yeah, if you aren't following us on Instagram specifically, please do so. If we could get to 1,000 followers on Instagram, we have a special surprise for you guys.
Yeah. But with that out of the way,
quick to the No Prize. A No Prize is an award that Marvel used to give out up until the 90s to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award that we post on social media that I personally draw for those who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week.
Last week's question was in regards to all the character trailers that we got for Zack Snyder's Justice League, and we asked, do you watch all the trailers released for a film, or do you prefer being surprised?
Yeah, I was really curious about this question because, you and I, we watch all of the trailers. We watch everything we can get our hands on.
Well, I don't watch clips, but I'll watch all the trailers.
I try not to watch clips, but I do. I do not have the willpower. I would not be a good Green Lantern.
But let's hear what some of our listeners thought. We have a list of honorable mentions to go through, and then our No Prize winner. Our first honorable mention goes to Michael Haggerty, who said,
"Hey guys, Michael Haggerty here. So I will watch every trailer except the final trailer because that's normally where the spoilers are. They normally give the big push of, oh, this is coming, so you better watch it. So yeah, that's my answer pretty much. I'll watch everything except for the final trailer. Bye."
And I think he has a good point. Usually I'll watch every trailer, but I almost always regret watching the last one because really by the time the final trailer comes out, a month or so before the movie comes out, it's always too much. And I'm already sold on the film for the most part anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, typically by the first or second trailer, especially in the DC's trailers. The first time I saw the Joker trailer, I was like, please don't show me anything else. Of course they did, and of course I totally ate it up, but by the final trailer, I'm just kind of like, just give me the movie already.
Yeah. And it's weird that it's usually the second to last trailer that ends up being the best. Like, usually by the time the final trailer rolls around, I'm like, oh, that wasn't as good. That seems to be the trend. So great answer.
Our next honorable mention goes to Miggy Madangian, who said,
Hey guys, this is Miggy, and my trailer policy is I will watch just the first trailer and then nothing after that to get myself hyped for the movie, but to avoid most of the spoilers. I will make exceptions, like for the Snyder Cut and Invincible.
So he has a clear set policy. He'll watch the first trailer only, but he does make exceptions for films that he is particularly excited about. And I feel like that's fairly reasonable. Really, I think it only takes one trailer to know whether or not you're going to see a film anyway.
That's absolutely true.
My problem is that I'm excited for all the Marvel movies, so those would all be my exception. I'm fine with watching just the first trailer for DC films, but I think that would be hard to do for the Marvel ones.
I'm fine with not watching any trailer for the Marvel. I'm fine with not watching the movies for Marvel.
Well, too bad. I don't know.
Okay.
Our final honorable mention goes to Joel Seagrave, who said,
Hi lads, this is Joel Seagrave. Personally, I only ever watched the initial teaser trailer just to get me hyped, but I'll avoid all other main trailers like the plague. The Cubs off in the cinema, I'll stick my fingers in my ears, close my eyes, and hum the national anthem until the trailer's eventually done. Keep up the good work. Bye.
What is the British national anthem?
God Save the Queen, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Do you know how that goes? In a British accent, please.
My country tastes of the God Save the Queen.
I think you mixed up two songs there, but I don't know. Okay. Highly offensive.
I think so.
But Joel Seagrave is a man of great willpower. He could totally be a great Green Lantern because he's able to just relegate himself to the first trailer.
And not just the first trailer, he said the first teaser.
Yeah.
So, like, sometimes teasers don't show any footage. Like, I'm thinking back to the Dark Knight teaser that just had the logo.
Yeah.
That's dedication.
That is dedication.
Good on you, Joel Seagrave.
Before we name the honorable mention, we want to go ahead and thank everybody who reached out to us via our website and recorded an answer for the question of the week, including Rue Mothar, and that's the first time that we've heard from him. So thanks for calling in, buddy. And thanks to Shane Habizin and Isaiah Bethune.
But the winner of this week's No Prize is Nate, who said,
Hey, it's Nate here, and for the question of the week, I avoid trailers if I know I'm going to see the movie. Why be spoiled on something that I could be surprised about? I stopped watching trailers around Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I just remember in the trailers, the helicarriers blowing up, and that was just in the back of my mind the entire movie. So ever since then, I kind of leave the theater when trailers play and just avoid them as much as I can.
Now that is the ultimate dedication. Avoiding all trailers altogether if you know you're going to see the movie. Wow.
This dude scares me. Like, that is some, like, God-level willpower right there.
Absolutely. How do you not want to know what's going to happen? But again, I think that's probably part of the problem for a lot of fans, you know, like with WandaVision, like with the Snyder Cut, everyone's trying to find everything out that's going to happen beforehand. We talked about this last episode. If you go in with no expectations, you're much more likely to enjoy the film.
As it was meant to be enjoyed.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of torn on the issue because obviously studios want you to see this content that they're putting out there in order to sell you on it. But then again, if you know you're going to see it, you're already sold. I wish I could do this. I wish I could. I can't, but I wish I could.
We don't understand you, but goddamn do we respect you.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And for that, you win this week's No Prize. If you, the listener, want a shot at winning your own No Prize, stay tuned to later on in this episode when we'll be asking another question of the week.
And with that out of the way,
on to the news. Okay, so last week, in the last episode, we broke down the character trailers that Zack Snyder released on social media for Batman, Superman, Aquaman, and The Flash. This past week, he released new trailers for Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and surprise, Steppenwolf/Darkseid. Both of those two characters.
Yeah, they kind of had to share space with each other.
A little bit, yeah. And it's always great to see Gal Gadot as Diana. She's just perfect in the role. I love that we get to see new scenes with her, especially coming off of Wonder Woman 1984, which wasn't that great. You know, seeing her return to form as the Zack Snyder version of Wonder Woman is really exciting.
Right, because Zack Snyder's version of Wonder Woman is a badass warrior.
Exactly. I do gotta say, though, that this trailer I found to be probably the least interesting out of the whole group.
It does seem like out of all the new footage there is to see within the film, not so much of it incorporates Diana.
Well, her and Superman, I think. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it looks beautiful. It looks great. Seeing her up against the Greek ruins is just a beautiful shot. And it is cool to see her go up against Steppenwolf, who looks so much better in this version than he did in the theatrical cut.
I don't know. I still think he looks part cow.
And that's fine. Part bull, like a charging bull. Like a charging bull made of fucking knives. That's scary. Before the Steppenwolf trailer, though, we got the Cyborg trailer, and that was actually really cool. We keep hearing how Cyborg is supposed to be the heart of this film, and that his role was largely cut in the theatrical version of Justice League. And it seems like a lot of the footage we're getting just really expands upon the character. And I totally believe that there's a lot more to Cyborg than what we've seen previously.
Well, Ray Fisher was saying that the only original Zack Snyder footage that made it to the theatrical cut was the rooftop scene with Commissioner Gordon. Everything else is going to be new. It's interesting, though, that the Cyborg character trailer seemed to be the most surreal out of all of them. It seems like Cyborg goes through a lot of dream sequences or something like that, which is weird for a half-robot character.
Well, not really. I think a lot of his struggle is an inner conflict. Is he a man? Is he a machine? So it makes sense that it would all kind of take place in his head.
Do androids dream?
He's not fully android. He's a cyborg.
Do they dream about electric sheep?
Yes.
Okay.
Except for cyborgs. Because that's what Cyborg is. He dreams about the things that he's dreaming about in this trailer.
Okay.
The final character trailer, again, was split between Steppenwolf and Darkseid.
They definitely added a lot more effects to Ciarán Hinds' voice compared to the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
He did sound a little bit close to Darkseid's voice, though. Darkseid's voice just seemed a little bit deeper.
I mean, they're related. It's fine. It was cool to see parademons again. I forgot how cool Zack Snyder's parademons are. We just see them pulling these Atlanteans out of the ocean. So badass.
Parademons were fucking worthless in the theatrical cut. I hope that they're more of a threat within Zack Snyder's version.
I think they will be. I think they absolutely will be. In this trailer, we get to see Steppenwolf again. We've sort of seen glimpses of this where he's bowing down to Darkseid, but we actually get to see the hologram of Darkseid, if you could call it a hologram. It's more like a metal lava manifestation of Darkseid that's speaking to Steppenwolf. It's really cool.
It does seem like a lot of these special effects are a little bit under par, and that's likely due to the time crunch and budget restraints that they had given these reshoots.
I saw a lot more to praise about the special effects than to be upset about, I guess. I think the special effects are fine. I think Darkseid looks great. I think Zeus looks awesome. This whole end battle, it's very CG heavy, but I think it looks dope as hell. In other news that's Justice League adjacent, Kiersey Clemons, who plays Iris West in the Justice League film, Zack Snyder's version, will now be returning to star in the Flash solo film. Which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great news. I'm not sure why she was ever not considered to be coming back regardless. I heard there was scheduling issues, but they should have booked her from the start if they were setting up a franchise.
Well, I believe that Rick Famuyiwa definitely had her in his version of the Flash film back when he was the director. But I think the story changed so much from that time that it was kind of unclear as to who was returning and who wasn't, who was cast, who wasn't. It looks now, officially, according to the trades, Kiersey Clemons is returning to the role.
No, we haven't actually seen her in the role yet because she was cut out of the Justice League movie, but we will be seeing that with the upcoming Zack Snyder's cut. I've seen little bits of her from trailers, particularly the scene where Barry Allen is saving her from a car crash, and that little shot right there does seem to have potential. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just the way she looks at Barry Allen, you could kind of see that the two have chemistry. You could kind of see that she is charismatic. So I think she'll be great in the role. But, we can make a better judgment once we see the Snyder cut. Obviously, Andy Muschietti thought she did really good.
Yeah.
And so did Warner Brothers. So that bodes really well, I think. And something that doesn't bode too well, Billy Crudup has backed out of the role of Henry Allen in the same Flash movie. Now, he was in the Justice League. His role wasn't cut. And for what we've seen from these new character trailers that Zach released, his role is expanded upon even. So it's kind of a shame that we're losing him.
Yeah, it's we're gaining one character and losing another, kind of.
Right, because actress Maribel Verdú has been cast as Nora Allen, the Flash's mom, which is pretty interesting. I mean, both of his parents play a crucial role in Barry Allen's origin. So I figured that she would be a part of this film, and it's pretty cool to see this actress specifically in this role.
I don't think I've seen her in anything.
I don't think I've ever seen her in an English role, which is interesting. I think I've only ever seen her in Spanish roles, so.
Okay.
She was in Pan's Labyrinth. She was the lady who took care of the little girl.
I did see that movie. Yeah.
I don't know if this means that they're going to recast Henry Allen, or if he's just going to be dropped from the film altogether. I guess because they're dealing with the multiverse, they could always bring in a new actor to sort of take on that role of his father. Ultimately, I hate the idea of Billy Crudup being replaced because he's a really good actor. I'm a really big fan of him in, various roles. Ever since Dr. Manhattan, I was like, yeah, this guy's awesome. So, yeah, again, sad to see him go. And this brings us to our question of the week. Which actor has left a role in a Marvel or DC film or show that you really wish had stayed?
Record your answer at dynamicduel.com or by clicking on the red microphone button in the bottom right-hand corner, which will prompt you to leave us a voicemail. Your message can be up to 30 seconds long, and don't forget to leave your name in case we include you on the podcast. We'll pick our favorite answer and draw that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to social media. Be sure to answer before March 20th. And that does it for the news for this week. It was all DC news. Sorry, Marvel guys, but it's not a complete loss for us because we do have new content on the Disney Plus platform on the Marvel Legends show, as well as the new assembled behind-the-scenes featurette of WandaVision. So that's pretty cool. But let's go ahead and get on to the main event now, where we find out who would win in a fight between the Flash DC villain Gorilla Grodd against the Marvel X-Men mutant Psylocke.
Let's do it.
Alright, Gorilla Grodd versus Psylocke. They're both characters who are psychics, they're both incredible physical threats, they both have weird-ass names, and that's about all they have in common.
Yeah, I would have to say that this is probably one of our more unique, unusual matches. It's not something that you could just, Google and have results come up for it, And I kind of pride ourselves on a few of the matches that we've come up that kind of do that. And in fact, I'm proud of all of the matches we've come up with for this show.
Yeah, and a few of the more unique ones that we've done, I've actually seen pop up elsewhere, like Cable versus Booster Gold. But I'm definitely excited about this matchup. Hopefully the audience is too. I honestly have no idea who the hell's going to win. This could be a total blowout, or it could be a 50-50 split.
Those are always exciting for me, so I can't wait. Let's get into it. If you've never listened to one of our Duel episodes before, the way we determine a winner between these two characters is by running 1,000 Monte Carlo simulations using their statistics. Now, a Monte Carlo simulation is a probabilistic model used to determine outcomes through random sampling.
In our case, it randomizes statistics along a normal distribution, which is a bell curve, as a way to simulate the many variables that can occur during battle. The stat parameters we use are based on the official Marvel Power Grid, and we use that criteria to extrapolate the DC character stats. We've included some additional stat categories of our own, such as range, damage potential, versatility, and perception, in order to create a more complete and robust simulation.
Running these 1,000 simulations gives us a percentage of wins for each character, and we declare the one with the higher percentage to be the ultimate victor, given that they're more likely to win any given battle. No character ever wins 100% of the time. Comics have always shown that there is always a way for Batman to defeat Superman. We feel our method falls in line with the precedents that have been established in the comic book stories.
And we use this method because it was the least subjective, most unbiased way to determine who would win. Of course, Jonathan and I are both heavily biased toward our respective allegiances, and instead of debating these matches forever, we just let the math decide for us. So there's no fan votes here, and no relying on just feats.
Before we run the simulations, though, we like to break down each character's histories and abilities before improvising a scenario on how we imagine one of the 1,000 simulations we run would play out beat for beat.
And I think it is my turn to go first with the backstory of Psylocke. It's kind of complicated, so let's get into it.
I'm looking forward to this. I don't know anything about her. I've always been kind of a big fan of the character, but I think it has more to do with aesthetics than anything. So, I can't wait.
I can see that. Now, Elizabeth Betsy Braddock was born and raised in Malden, Essex in the United Kingdom. Her father was Sir James Braddock, a champion of the realm of Avalon, which is similar to the realm of Asgard where Thor is from, but Avalon is Celtic in nature as opposed to Norse. Sir James Braddock was a knight who was sent by Merlin to Earth's realm in order to sire the hero Captain Britain, who would serve as the guardian to Avalon's gateway hidden within the British Isles. Sir James actually sired 2 champions, a pair of twins, Betsy and her brother Brian Braddock. They lived a privileged life in Braddock Manor, and while it would be Brian who eventually took on the mantle of Captain Britain, it was Betsy who developed mutant abilities. She was a late bloomer, however, not getting her psychic powers until the age of 21, when she had already become a successful charter pilot. This mutation turned her hair purple, and she was recruited into the side division of Great Britain's superhero intelligence agency, Strike, which stands for Special Tactical Reserve for International Key Emergencies. Betsy worked missions for Strike and temporarily took on the mantle of Captain Britain when her brother stepped out of the role. During one adventure, her eyes were gouged out by a bad guy, and she was forced into a brief retirement. Though she was still somewhat able to see, using her psychic abilities to tap into the minds around her. But not long after, Betsy was kidnapped by the extra-dimensional villain Mojo, who took her to Mojoverse and gave her cybernetic eyes and codenamed her Psylocke. Her brother Brian, back in the Captain Britain role, rescued her alongside the New Mutants. They brought her back to their home dimension, where she recuperated at the X-Mansion while the X-Men were away. While there, Betsy used her telepathy to stop the evil mutant Sabretooth from invading the facility, impressing the X-Men enough to invite her to join their ranks. You can learn more about the X-Men in our Titans vs. X-Men episode. Betsy accepted, and she proved to be an asset to the team with her powerful telepathic abilities, helping them take on the Brood, Mr. Sinister, the Sentinels, and the Reavers. In that latter battle, she used a mystical artifact of Arthurian legend that was called the Siege Perilous. It had the ability to open a portal that would teleport you to a random location, fully healed of any wounds, but also amnesiac. As a last resort to save her and her fellow X-Men's lives, she opened a portal for the team and sent them all elsewhere. She woke up without her memory on an East Asian island where a group of hand ninjas found her. You can learn more about the Hand Ninja Clan in our Katana vs. Elektra episode. They saw her telepathy as a means of saving a Japanese assassin named Quanin from a coma. While Quanin's and Betsy's mind were linked, a nefarious mystic named Spiral swapped their minds so that Betsy's mind now resided in Quanin's body and Quanin's mind in Betsy's. Their genetic structures were also merged so that Betsy's psychic powers and Quanin's martial arts physicality were split between them. While Betsy's strong psychic mind was able to handle the transfer without complication, Quanin had a harder time mentally processing things for a while. Betsy was subsequently brainwashed and trained by the Hand into becoming a Hand Ninja assassin. And though her telepathic abilities were only half as strong as they once were, she was able to incorporate her limited powers into her hand-to-hand combat abilities, such as clouding her opponent's minds and focusing her psychic energy into a knife that could mentally stun or kill her enemies. Betsy eventually was contracted to take out Wolverine in Japan, who was able to recognize her through her smell. As they fought, he tried to convince her of her true identity, and only when she probed his mind with her psychic knife did she come to realize the truth and break free of the Hand's conditioning.
Wait, wouldn't she have smelled like Quanin, though?
No, that was the weird thing. They didn't smell like the body they were resided in.
Interesting.
Yeah. Betsy returned to the X-Men, though at this time Quanin confronted the team in Betsy's body, claiming to be the true Betsy. However, Quanin also contracted the Legacy Virus, a terminal sickness that affected only mutants. She died in Betsy's body, at which point Betsy's memories and full psychic powers returned. At this time, she began dating her fellow X-Men member Archangel, whom you can learn more about in our Zuriel vs. Archangel Duel episode. During a battle with Sabretooth, Betsy was nearly killed, and the X-Men turned to Dr. Strange for help. He used a magical liquid called the Crimson Dawn that was able to heal her, but gave her a large red tattoo over her left eye and the ability to teleport through shadows. This ability soon came in hand when the X-Men took on the Shadow King, a demonic psychic entity who negated all telepathic abilities in the world. He captured Betsy's psychic astral form, but she used her Crimson Dawn shadow abilities on the astral plane to trap the Shadow King's psychic nexus, returning the world to normal. This cost Betsy the use of her telepathy in the fear that doing so would unleash the Shadow King back into the world. Powerless, she turned to Jean Grey for help, who was able to unlock telekinetic psychic abilities within Betsy. Now, instead of manifesting telepathic weapons when fighting, Betsy would create telekinetic force weapons, such as a katana with a blade just a molecule thick. Betsy briefly joined Storm's Extreme X-Men, where she lost her Crimson Dawn powers. She managed to retain her abilities after the Scarlet Witch eliminated most of Earth's mutant powers, and Betsy was later whisked away alongside heroes from other dimensions to form the Exiles team, which was in charge of stopping threats to the Omniverse. When she returned to her home dimension, she rejoined the X-Men on their New Utopia base near San Francisco. At this point, she started regaining some of her telepathic power at the loss of some of her telekinesis. She joined the clandestine team called X-Force, where she helped stop Apocalypse, the Reavers, and the Shadow King, during which time she once again regained the full extent of her telepathic abilities. She sided with the X-Men against the Avengers in their fight over the returning Phoenix Force, which saw Hope Summers and the Scarlet Witch restore Earth's mutant powers. Betsy eventually returned home to England. She was later attacked and had her soul absorbed by a psychic vampire called Sapphire Styx.
Sapphire Styx?
Sounds so weird saying it out loud. STYX, I don't know if that helps anything.
Oh, Sapphire Styx. That's dumb.
She was a psychic vampire who had drained thousands of souls over her centuries-long lifespan. Now, drawing on the power of those souls, Betsy's mind destroyed Sapphire from within and used the soul energy to create her original British body. This act also resurrected Quannen's mind back in her original Japanese body, and the two women were finally restored. Betsy reunited with her brother Brian, who was still kept in Britain, and he was later cursed by the villain Morgan Le Fay into becoming her champion in Avalon, while Betsy took on his amulet to inherit her birthright and become the new Captain Britain. Meanwhile, Quannen, who retained the psychic abilities that Betsy had while in her body, took on the codename Psylocke and became a citizen of the mutant sovereign nation of Krakoa. And that's her history. As far as who the Psylocke will be during the course of this match, I don't really think it matters because the general power set is the same between the two, but since Betsy seems like she'll really own the Captain Britain title for a while, and because I don't think they'll ever make her a white woman in a Japanese woman's body ever again,
Yeah.
I'm going to imagine for this match that it's Quannen, but with Betsy's powers as they were traditionally known in that body. If people prefer Betsy in this duel, then sure, imagine that. Eventually we will be doing a Captain Britain duel, and at that time I'll make the call if it will be Brian or Betsy in that battle, as those two actually do have different power sets. But anyway, Psylocke has the psychic powers of telepathy and telekinesis. For a variety of reasons in the character's history, as you've learned, her powers have always been hampered by some limitation, such as sharing power between others, imprisoning the Shadow King, being untrained in their full extent in a new body, whatever. But traditionally, limited telepathy and telekinesis has been Psylocke's go-to. And I say limited because her psychic powers aren't used in the same way that, say, Jean Grey's are, whom you can learn more about in our Raven vs. Phoenix duel episode. Psylocke is much more of a physical opponent who uses her abilities to augment her fighting style. This includes the formation of psychic weapons, such as a telepathic knife that can mentally probe, stun, or even kill opponents, though it causes no physical damage. She can form a telekinetic katana that does cause physical damage, though. She can use her telepathy to cloud the minds of her enemies, and read their minds to anticipate their oncoming attacks. She can enhance her speed, her lifting strength, and the strength of her blows through her telekinesis. And she can create both telepathic and telekinetic shielding. She's an expert martial artist in multiple styles, including ninjutsu and kenjutsu.
How much can she lift?
It's only minorly augmented to just beyond peak human. That's just during fighting. If she does concentrate, she can lift things heavier than that with her mind.
She's a pretty cool character.
Yeah.
As kind of looted as her backstory is, it's kind of cool that the character incorporates, like, Arthurian legend with, like, ninja badassery.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
But what the hell does Psylocke mean?
I've always wondered that myself. It's not a great name. My theory is that it has to do with the word psyche, which is, pronounced psyche, Psylocke. That's just a guess on my part. Lock and key.
That's definitely a stretch.
Or it might be spot on. Who knows?
She should be psychic. Like a kick, like a ninja kick.
That would actually be pretty cool.
Psychic.
Like PSYKICK.
Yeah.
I like that.
You don't get a better name than Grodd, though. So many different things you could do with it. Yeah. Like kneel before Grodd.
I gotta take a major Grodd.
Nah. Let me get into his backstory. The history of Gorilla Grodd goes back generations to the 19th century when an alien of unknown origin crash-landed in the heart of the African jungle, where he happened upon a tribe of gorillas. The alien used an energy later revealed to be the Speed Force to rapidly evolve the apes' minds.
Oh, so it's like 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The gorillas built for themselves a technologically advanced hidden city, Gorilla City, from which the alien ruled over them. Eventually, a gorilla named Grodd was born, who exhibited a high degree of intelligence and developed the mental powers of telepathy and telekinesis. Grodd grew prideful in his powers and believed that rather than hiding from humans, they should rule over them, despite arguments from the gorilla tribe's elders and the alien. When a group of human explorers discovered Gorilla City, Grodd used his mind control powers to get one of the humans to kill the alien that made them smart, and he took over the city, intent on building an advanced army of gorilla soldiers to take over the world. Another gorilla named Solivar, who had also developed telepathy, escaped Gorilla City, only to be captured by humans and sold to the Central City Zoo. Solivar feigned unintelligence so as not to reveal the existence of Gorilla City, but broke out of his cage and contacted the Flash when he realized the hero could help liberate his fellow intelligent gorillas from Grodd's control.
Now this kind of seems like Planet of the Apes.
Oh, it's both. It's absolutely all of that combined.
And King Kong.
Yep. The Flash was able to save the citizens of Gorilla City from Grodd's rule, and even managed to strip Grodd of his mental powers, though they eventually came back. Solivar was christened the new king of Gorilla City, and Grodd, feeling betrayed by his fellow gorillas for their lack of ambition, developed a machine that would strip them of their intelligence. Solivar found out about the machine and enlisted the help of the Flash once again to stop Grodd. Grodd was imprisoned, but made a burrowing machine to escape and transferred his mind into various humans and gorillas in order to evade recapture. At one point, he evolved his body into that of a human, which granted him a higher degree of psychic power, including control over the forces of nature. But his powers faded over time as his body reverted back to a gorilla. Intent on preventing the Flash from interfering in his plans for world domination, Grodd later placed his mind in that of a gorilla named Freddy, who lived in the Central City Zoo. Grodd used Freddy's body to successfully break the Flash's rogues gallery out of prison in order to distract the Flash, while Grodd built a device that would negate the Flash's speed using radiation. Grodd's device worked, but his plan was ultimately foiled when Freddy's gorilla mate at the zoo grew upset with Freddy, and she delivered a surprise beating to Grodd. What are you gonna do?
I love that.
Eventually, Grodd's original nemesis, the Flash Barry Allen, sacrificed himself to save the multiverse during the Crisis on Infinite Earths event, which you can learn more about in our Flash vs. Quicksilver episode. Barry's successor, Wally West, took up his mantle, and it wasn't long before he and Grodd came to blows. Grodd attempted to take over Central City by creating a device that amplified his psychic powers, allowing him to reach all of the city's animals in an attempt to convince them to turn on the humans. His plan backfired, however, when the city's pets proved to be too loyal to their masters, and the new Flash managed to stop Grodd once again with the help of the Pied Piper, Vixen, and Rex the Wonder Dog. Later, Grodd was recruited by the immortal villain Vandal Savage into a supervillain team known as Tartarus to defeat Wally West's old super team, the Teen Titans. Grodd ended up betraying the team, however, resulting in the team's defeat at the hands of the Titans. Grodd then built a time machine to eliminate the emergence of Homo sapiens in the past, but was stopped by Ambush Bug and Titano, the giant chimpanzee. Returning to the present, Grodd turned his attention once again to Gorilla City, where he attempted to stage an assassination of King Solivar and manipulate the gorillas into a war with humanity through a shadow cabinet within the city's government known as the Simian Scarlet. While mentally controlling so many apes, however, his mind became overloaded with neural energy and reverted back to that of a normal gorilla. Grodd's mind eventually found its way into that of a homeless man in Central City. After being attacked by a gang of thugs, Grodd's mind was reawakened when one of the attackers mentioned having the strength of a gorilla. Through the force and might of his own telepathy, Grodd was able to evolve this human's body into a gorilla, and he tore the gang members apart. After tracking down the meteorite that gave Green Lantern villain Hector Hammond his own psychic powers, Grodd's powers were amplified, allowing him to take control of the entirety of Gorilla City without complication. It took the combined might of Green Lantern and the Flash to stop Grodd from destroying mankind and taking over the world. Grodd's mind devolved into that of an infant until he was healed by a holy child of Gorilla City named Nzame. Notably, afterward, it was Gorilla Grodd who was responsible for crippling the Flash's detective ally, Hunter Zolomon, leading him to eventually become the destructive speedster villain, Zoom. In post-Flashpoint continuity, Grodd was the prince of Gorilla City, a subject of prophecy regarding the Speed Force, which the gorillas referred to as the Light. It was believed among the gorillas of Gorilla City that Grodd would use the Light to usher in the next stage of gorilla evolution. When Grodd came of age, he challenged his father, the King, to a death battle, which Grodd won, eating his father's brains afterward and obtaining his knowledge and memories.
Dang.
Immediately afterward, the Flash stumbled into Gorilla City for the first time accidentally while traveling back to the present timeline from the future. His arrival caused the gorillas to question whether Grodd truly was the Lightbringer of prophecy, some believing it was the Flash instead. Threatened, Grodd attempted to kill the Flash, but accidentally caused a cave-in that nearly killed him instead. Grodd emerged from the rubble and made his way to Central City, where he learned his Speed-Forced evolved body was able to absorb the energy and increase his own speed. Grodd was later recruited into the Legion of Doom, where the members of the supervillain team found energies capable of countering the powers of their Justice League enemies. In the case of Grodd, he was able to harness the Still Force, allowing him to stop all motion around him. The Legion, of course, was defeated by the Justice League, and Grodd lost that ability. Now, powers and abilities-wise, Grodd has an enhanced gorilla physique due to his highly evolved body, making him stronger, faster, more durable, and possessed of greater senses and reflexes than your average silverback gorilla. The most evolved gorillas of Gorilla City developed telepathy in their later years. Grodd developed his psychic abilities, including the unique ability of telekinesis, as a young gorilla, allowing him to read others' thoughts, control their actions, and even transfer his mind into other beings. He could also use his telekinesis to bolster his strength, create force fields, and even transmute matter to a limited extent. He is also a scientific genius, capable of engineering a number of machines, usually involving evolution and de-evolution. And that's Grodd.
A lot of his stories were a lot more ridiculous than I thought they would be.
Yeah, I think some writers don't know quite what to do with him.
Yeah.
I think he was off to a great start, but it kind of de-evolved from there, as it were. Although Jeff Johns, actually, he writes a really, really scary, really good Gorilla Grodd. Now that we've got their histories and abilities out of the way, let's speculate on how one of the 1,000 simulated matches will go. The winner is determined by simulations, not the speculation, but it's fun to imagine how this fight could play out.
We don't set any rules for this match other than the characters don't know anything about each other going in, except that the other character is a threat that needs to be put down. And we say they start off about 50 meters apart in an environment that has no bearing on the match itself because we don't take stats for the environment.
Plus, certain characters have advantages in some environments over others, and we want these characters to win on their own merit. So let's get into it. The characters meet on the battlefield. Who goes first? I'm going to say that, enhanced gorillas are faster than enhanced humans. So,
Mutants, but okay.
Yeah, I think Gorilla Grodd's going to go first. He's just an angry guy as it is, so I wouldn't be surprised if he made the first move.
All right, yeah, makes sense.
So I'm going to say that he starts off with a full-on, just scary gorilla charge. And it's extra scary because he's going to be mentally projecting in her mind all of the horrible ways he's going to bite and just rip her apart limb from limb.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, Psylocke sees this rushing atrocity, But, she's handled herself in situations before. She throws up a telekinetic force field as he's approaching that Grodd just slams into. And as he bounces off her force field, she telekinetically rushes him using psychically enhanced speed, and she stabs him with her psi knife. And with that, she learns everything about him. She learns all about his powers and his history as an evolved gorilla, and therefore she's able to equip the appropriate psychic shielding to protect herself from his psychic attacks.
Is that all done instantaneously? Like, she doesn't need to, hold it there for a while or anything?
For the most part, it's done instantaneously. The psychic knife does stun him. While this is going on, Grodd is in psychic pain.
Okay. I mean, if he's in pain, he'll probably, emit this telekinetic blast from his body, just, sending Psylocke hurling away from him, and then he busts out this, high-tech collapsible spear that he expands and uses to start firing these lasers at her. It's really high tech from Gorilla City.
He shoots lasers out of the spear?
Yeah.
Well, she's at a distance and she's dodging these lasers. Also, she's able to telepathically read him to see where he's about to fire, so she can dodge these lasers easily. And she ducks and dives, working her way toward Grodd, where she manifests her telekinetic sword, the physical one that's only a molecule thick. And with it, she slices his laser spear right in half. Okay. And he's like, oh, what? My thing's broken. And Psylocke follows up by sweeping his legs. Now, normally, a leg sweep wouldn't down a massive enhanced gorilla, but she powers her leg sweep with telekinetic strength, so Grodd's on his ass.
Okay. By this point, Grodd's just had enough, so he tries to take control of her mind. You mentioned...
No. She's psychically immune for the most part, and she has the shielding.
Right, I was going to say that. But Grodd probably recognizes that pretty quickly, and he's wearing armor from the Gorilla City, like I mentioned, where there's a gem on his helmet that's actually a button. And when he presses it, it enhances his telepathic abilities, sort of like what he did with the animals in Central City.
Okay. Oh, like Cerebro?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And with those enhanced telepathic abilities, he's going to break down her psychic defenses, okay? And that's when he just takes the battle to the psychic plane, where anything is possible, and where he's basically King Kong.
Oh, shit. Okay, so we're on the psychic astral plane now, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if Grodd is King Kong on the astral plane, then Psylocke is Godzilla in the sense that she's Japanese. But no. She grows her psychic astral form to be just as tall as he is. And she fires this psychic beam at him from her forehead, and she sprouts these huge, energy butterfly wings, which is actually how her psychic energies were kind of first presented in the comics. So really, she's more like Mothra versus King Kong.
This is pretty amazing.
This is one of the most awesome things we've ever done.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to say that Grodd blocks that psychic beam by manifesting a psychic warrior shield.
Okay.
And then he's going to follow up by hurling these giant psychic poops right at her, like flaming poops that stick to you and burn. He's a gorilla, so it makes sense. He's allowed to do it.
Oh, God. Well, she dodges the flying, flaming poos by flapping her butterfly wings and flying into the air, and she folds her wings together in front of her and extends them into this giant psychic blade that lodges itself right into Grodd's head through his helmet, and it knocks them both out of the astral plane and back into the real world, because things were just getting way too fucking ridiculous there.
All right, that's fair. That's fine. Okay. As they come to, I'm going to say Gorilla Grodd just reaches out with his telekinesis, just pulls her towards him, and then just crushes her skull in his hand.
Except that as Psylocke is getting pulled in close by Grodd's telekinesis, she's going to manifest her telekinetic katana and just slice Gorilla Grodd's hand right off. That's pulling her in.
What?
So Gorilla Grodd doesn't have a hand anymore.
You don't want to make Grodd angry, okay? You wouldn't like him when he's angry.
Okay.
And right now he's pissed off. So he just picks her up with his one good hand and just bites her right in the back and just hurls her like a rag doll away from him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's definitely gonna hurt Psylocke, because those gorilla fangs are no joke.
Yeah.
But she's going to telekinetically stop the bleeding from these huge, massive bite wounds that she has in her back now.
She can do that?
Yeah, we'll say yeah.
Okay. Well, while she's doing that, Gorilla Grodd is just gonna roll over to that slashed laser spear that was on the ground that he was using before, and he's just gonna tinker with it and transmute some of its matter so that it now emits this radioactive beam that's capable of devolving humans into apes, and he fires it at Psylocke. So boom, now she's a gorilla that's easier for him to mentally control.
No. Psylocke's a mutant. Okay, so if she's devolving, she's not going to turn into a gorilla. She's going to turn into just a regular, powerless human.
Good.
But she'll still have her martial arts prowess. She's not going to lose that.
Okay.
So Grodd's going to be surprised that, she's not a gorilla, and Psylocke is going to take advantage of his confusion, and she's going to flip her way towards him and just kick him right in the throat.
I don't think that works. Grodd is probably just gonna laugh at this puny human now, and he's just gonna lay her out with one blow.
Okay, so she gets knocked aside, but not before she's able to steal his devolving laser spear from his one good hand. And she gets up from the ground with the spear, and she points it at him, and she uses it on him. So she devolves him, and now he's just a regular shitty gorilla.
So a normal gorilla going up against a regular human. I think I'm still putting my money on the regular gorilla. He'll just rush toward her like a wild ape with rabies.
And Psylocke is just going to run. I have no idea what the hell she's going to do.
There's nothing she can do. Grodd's just going to catch up with her and just bite her face off.
Except that this whole thing was just a psychic illusion all along.
What?
Ever since Psylocke stabbed Grodd with her Psyblade, Grodd has just been in this comatose state this whole time, imagining the whole fight, and Psylocke just decapitates him, putting him out of his misery.
When? At the very beginning?
Yeah, pretty much at the beginning of this fight.
Okay. Wow. He's decapitated?
Yeah.
Okay, but Grodd's mind is powerful enough where, it'll just transfer into her body. He'll just take over her body with his mind. So now he's this badass ninja, and she no longer exists.
She hates that mind-swapping stuff.
Yes. Yeah, everyone does.
But, honestly, I can't think of a better way to end this than with a sexy psychic gorilla ninja. So, I don't think he managed to transfer his mind. You say he does. But we'll find out what really happened by running the simulations on this matchup.
Nice. Let's do it.
That was fun. That was way funner than I thought it was going to be.
And actually, these characters had more in common than I think we kind of realized. They're both evolved beings.
That's true. Yeah, they both deal with the theme of evolution. So thematically, they're similar. Stats-wise, they're not too similar.
No, yeah. Gorilla Grodd came out on top in a number of categories, including movement speed, durability, strength, obviously, damage level, but just barely, and versatility because of his technology. He's also a lot smarter than she is.
Innately, yeah, but Psylocke is definitely more evasive than Gorilla Grodd, considering that not only is she an acrobatic ninja, she can also create telekinetic shielding, she can render herself mentally invisible to her opponent. She has a lot of tools up her sleeve in order to evade attacks. And she's also a very highly skilled martial artist. She's a way better fighter than Grodd.
Right. But will that be enough to put her on top?
Yes.
In the simulations?
I'm going to say yes. But what do you think?
I'm going to say no. I think he's actually going to win by a large margin, which differs from our social media followers. We got more votes for the poll between Gorilla Grodd and Psylocke than any other poll we've ever put up. And you guys were split almost exactly down the middle. 51% of you went for Psylocke and 49% for Gorilla Grodd. I think you guys are wrong.
Well, let's find out. The winner between Gorilla Grodd and Psylocke is...
Grodd. Just say Grodd. It's okay.
Gorilla Grodd.
Yes.
It was Gorilla Grodd. And not only did he win, he won by quite a bit. Out of the 1,000 matches, he won 736 of them, while Psylocke only won 264. So it's 73.6% to 26.4.
So he wins almost 3/4 of the time.
Yeah, in the end, it was Grodd's innate physicality and intelligence that was just too much for Psylocke.
Yeah, there wasn't too much that she was able to do that he wasn't also able to do.
For the most part, yeah. He also had a little bit of a wild card with his technological devices, whatever that may show up as in the battle.
Are you surprised?
Yeah, actually, as I was writing Psylocke's biography, I was like, there's no fucking way that the stupid-ass gorilla is going to win this matchup. He's just a damn dirty ape. But, once we actually sat down and compared the stats, it actually makes sense. DC wins this time, but it's okay, guys, because Marvel's going to win next time.
Maybe. Probably not.
But that's going to be in an episode after our upcoming episode, which will be a review of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh my gosh! It's finally here.
Oh my god, you're so annoying.
Whatever. I'm totally going to marathon Man of Steel and then BVS The Ultimate Cut right before Justice League drops at midnight. I'm going to be up for so many hours, and it's just going to be so glorious.
Well, I'm going to marathon Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame before watching Zack Snyder's Justice League, just so I can compare the levels of epicness against each other. And I'm going to predict that Justice League is going to fall short.
No way. This is going to be the best DC film that's ever been released. That's what I predict.
Are you managing your expectations right now?
Yes, those are my expectations managed.
All right. Well, everybody look forward to the disappointment next week as we get into that. That does it for this duel. Let us know what you thought about the results by writing to us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com or by visiting us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, particularly Instagram, because that's where we're trying to get to 1,000 followers. And again, if we do, we have a special surprise for you guys. You can find links to all of our social accounts by visiting our website, dynamicduel.com.
And on our site, you can also find a link to our Patreon page, where we offer bonus content and our very own Marvel vs. DC card game called Dynamic Duel War. Check it out right after this episode. Our lowest tier is only $2 a month.
And also on dynamicduel.com is a link to our merch store where we sell t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, and more with our Dynamic Duel No Prize artwork.
This week, I will be drawing Psylocke. So if you're a big fan of the character, make sure to check out our store right now.
We want to remind everyone again to please subscribe to our show if you haven't already, or please leave a rating or review on your platform of choice. Sharing the show again on social media or in person is also a big help for us. We want to give a big thanks to our executive producers, Ken Johnson, Jace Crump, John Starosky, John Speas, Isaiah Bethune, Zachary Hepburn, and John Bechinina for helping make this podcast possible. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Up and away.
True believers.